Hi, and welcome back. I'm Cheryl Gleason, and this is Inside the Artist Studio. This week, we have an amazing artist, teacher, and local Rancho Cordovan, Victoria Smith.
Hello, so nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming and spending a little time with us today.
Love it.
So let's talk about your art and how you got started, because you kind of have a really colorful artistic background.
Colorful's okay too.
Yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
it is. It's as I was reading through, I mean, you come from a family of artists.
Makers and craftspeople, and my mother was a working artist. My father even did watercolors, and my grandparents lived right across the street, and they were always here. Come on in here, let's build a this or that or cook a thing. So I really thought everyone lived the way we did. I have two older sisters. One's head of the dance department at ARC.
Oh, wow.
And my oldest sister was a professor and also published writer. So we were just lucky we didn't choose the same disciplines.
Yeah, but all in the
Art.
yeah. That is
My mom
fantastic.
was wonderful, and I don't think I even appreciated it at the time. But
We never do.
no, but it was a very, creative, accepting, non-judgment kind of.
So what's your first impression or memory of something when you were a kid doing art?
Easy. So she worked for Sacramento City Recreation and Parks. They called it Cultural Arts and Activities.
Oh, uh-huh.
And they did everything, at that time, everything for the mayor and all those things. But she'd brought home things for me. Like my first memory is she brought me home this tube of purple acrylic paint and a beautiful little brush. And the other thing about her, she sat me down at the coffee table, her antique marble table and her couch and her beautiful living room, said, see what you can do with this.
Really?
And she'd give me a couple of pointers. The two that I heard in my head still are, make sure you're working in good light and is your pencil sharp. And other than that, she didn't over-educate, which stays with me still with the people that I encounter, that you need to give them some time. It's like physics at first, to discover, to push that bead of paint, what happens when it does this.
Yeah.
Before we buckle down and say, keep it
These
in
are
that
the
line.
technical things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to have a love affair with it.
Absolutely. You gotta, I mean, the best learning is when you fail,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's how you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And she brought, I can remember plaster bandage and clay.
I would have loved to play at your house.
Oh, everybody did. My best little girlfriend was down there all the time. And cut a silk screen. I think I was 8.
Oh my goodness.
She just.
That is crazy.
So, and the thing that came out of that was trust and value for she valued what I did.
That is awesome. Now, but you went to art school,
A lot of
graduated. Graduated. You worked with some of, or had the pleasure of working with some amazing
I did.
instructors.
It was a kind of a cool time in Sacramento for artists.
Yeah, you had
Very
Gregory Condos.
I did. And,
Wayne Thiebaud.
Fred Dalkey.
Fred Dalkey was huge in Sacramento.
And Daryl Forney. Actually, I've forgotten about him. And actually, Lorraine Landau was very good to me. And, you have doubts, and everybody is telling you, oh, don't be an artist, you'll starve, that kind
Right.
of thing. And she said, no, you'll be all right. Go ahead and do it. You can do this. You just have to work hard. That meant everything.
So, how long have you been I'm a working artist, but I have another job. I have
Yeah.
a real job that is,
Right.
more than, you only do your art and teach.
Yeah.
Correct?
At my, and I teach in my little studio and at my pleasure, which is huge for an
Yeah.
artist to be able to.
Yeah.
To
But
say
you have
yes and
quite a group of
I do.
both kids and adults, right?
I do. Yes.
I mean,
I like that.
yeah, I bet that gives you a good sense of both. Which do you like to teach better, kids or adults?
It's funny. because I didn't plan on being a teacher, although I'm from a family full of educators. And once I started, I got myself into this thing where I always said I don't want to ever teach teenagers, because I thought junior high school was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And then I ended up in this situation teaching computer for a computer lab. It was Sacramento's first all on computer place for your teenagers. And I kind of went down there because I could teach my own son down there. And there was this small group of about 5 or 6 kids. So I thought, well, that might be all right. They merged another school in, a school that had no money, not much parental support, and they were rough kids. And we were doing stop motion animation at that point. And these kids didn't know how to make a computer file, none of that. And very quickly they caught up.
Well,
and
kids do learn very easily.
And very quickly the group gelled. And so it was a teaching experience for me that I had a kind of a love for that, because that age is really hard. It's hard to be that age.
Yeah.
And an artist.
Yeah, I so agree with you.
Or somebody who has, I had dyslexia, who everybody does now, but at the time it wasn't even a name for it.
No.
And it blocked my way until we got into computers. So I kind of painted and drew my way out of high school. Here, I'll be happy to do a chart for you on the reproductive cycle of a frog instead of having to take the test. So when I ran into these kids, I thought, well, this really touched my heart.
Just one of me.
Yeah.
So, what kind of mediums have you worked in?
Oh, gosh. Acrylic from the day I
from
started,
that first
yeah.
tube of purple paint.
And then, that's so true. I have a lot of little purple paintings somewhere. And she brought home pastels and pencils. I do like to draw. I think of the strong drawing back fine arts. And I love watercolor. Gee, this is really a hard question, because a lot of it's happened as a teacher. People come along and say flower bouquets. I was always like, I don't want to do that. Or waves. But you kind of have to teach yourself that stuff in order to hook somebody where they want to go.
Right.
And so
sort of fulfilling other people's passions.
a little, and then I would found as a teacher you learn a lot. You know, I had to force myself.
Yeah, when you teach, you learn so much.
So, and then I ended up doing computer animation in San Francisco after my last college experience was there. And it was before Jurassic Park was just coming out. We were standing in the lobby together, all of us going, wow.
Wow. What medium is your favorite to paint in?
Oh, probably acrylic.
Yeah.
It for me is so easy. Well, sometimes I can't explain what I'm doing because it's like my first language. It's, you know, it just was really what I spoke with.
So this piece behind us, this is acrylic.
Yes. This is acrylic heavy body, but it's also got some open, slow drying acrylic, which is my latest passion. And I don't know if you could see her face. There's kind of a rim of color change. This is unfinished, is why I brought it for you, because I thought it was interesting. And you can see that is the slow drying acrylic. It looks more like oil. So eventually it'll bring color to all these different places there.
Yeah, when you taught that class for the jelly print, I mean, I had seen open for, I don't use that much acrylic. Majority of my work is oil. I do use a little bit. And back in the day, I would sometimes underpaint a little in acrylic and then overpaint in oil. But what would you say is the drying time? So the golden open has the properties in it, so it's a little more slow drying, a lot like an oil.
It's kind of a mystery. I have been I've been working with it for a while, but when I first started, my fellow golden artists group, I had one fellow say, "Oh, it could take as much as a month, and it takes you, this learning curve to get used to it, which might be true. But I think it depends on when you're working, how you work. I mean, it's a shock to me to come out and realize the next day that it changes its viscosity. It gets to be more gel-like. And you can still blend into it, but it's a little different thing. But it has this beautiful kind of shine and jelly glisten to it. After years of just straight acrylic painting, I'm a pretty clean painter, but because this stays wet,
How much paint do you have all over your house?
not much.
Oh, really?
I'm really, I'm a clean painter. I guess because she trusted me with that marble table. I don't know.
Started from a very young age.
Yeah, once in a while I tip something over and it's.
Yeah. You know, I used to be, you could tell where I went in the house that day
Yeah.
by the blue or green, or Debbie'd come home and I would have done like one of
Yeah.
these, and I'd have green paint or
Well,
blue
I do.
paint.
I wear a
Yeah.
lot of it.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
And then my son actually just said something to that. My door frame, as you're leaving, has all these little color smears.
Little handprints.
But it's kind of not me. It's the students. But this, if you come out the next day and you touch it,
It's tacky.
yeah, and you'll be tracking paint all over the place before you know it.
Yeah.
So that's a little hard to get used to.
Yeah.
A lot of my oil painting friends work with this under and then come back over.
So, what's your creative process? Do you paint off plein air? Do you take reference photos?
I do.
How do you?
I do plein air sometimes, and now that it's hot and I'm older, my back says no, thank you. I get catch an interest. Like right now, I saw a painting. I couldn't even tell you what, where it was a figure in front of a firelight, and it had that reflected light into its face. Something like that, or even a cup reflecting back to a piece of silverware. So I'm trying to bring that color and light into what I'm doing right now.
So you're really working on light and reflection and.
Yes, and also brush strokes. I tend to flatten everything out, and it's hard. And then once in a while I hit
But
gold.
you like the painterly style.
I do. I like it brushy.
You know, I will say, from the picture the landscape that you had at the members show, that was very painterly. As a matter of fact,
Which one was?
when I first saw it, I actually thought it was one of Eileen Neuer's, who we have in the upstairs gallery right now.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple others that I've noticed that little bit more painterly.
You know, I think if it's painting I'm thinking of, I really can't quite remember. The funny thing about that is I believe that was a Australian one.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I had gone to Australia 30 years ago, and I take pictures wherever I go.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I can put them in the computer and change things as I like, and then I can work from that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I work from I have a huge computer screen, enormous, and I can work from that beautiful bright color. But I'm pretty sure that were Australian trees. No wonder it reminds you of Australian Eileen Neuer's painting.
It was incredible. But I've noticed a little bit more over the last few years. You've gotten a little more painterly, which, you know, I really enjoy.
Me too. I think they're better that way.
I love seeing the artist's brush stroke, and I myself had to give up brushes in order to get more painterly and abstract.
Well, and I'll tell you, my secret is, and my vision is not so good anymore. I used to have this fabulous vision. I don't paint with my glasses on
Oh, there you go.
at all.
There you go.
So I think it helped.
If I did that, then there'd be two of everything on one canvas.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I have-
that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be
I
good at
don't know
all.
about that. Cheryl.
could
I
be-
think you're missing an opportunity. That could be really awesome.
Well, I might save that for my really later years.
Okay.
So, who do you look to when you look for inspiration? Who's an artist, either past or present, that is your one of your favorites?
You know, the sad thing right now is my mentors are all passing. My college
Yeah.
mentors have got, and you know,
Wayne's hanging in there though at 100.
oh my God, yeah.
I know.
I see him
He's
periodically.
such a stud.
And have little conversations with him. But what he says to me with his hands behind his back is, "You still working?" And that's what he wants to know.
Yeah.
Keep working.
Because he's still working.
Yeah. So I'm inspired by that, I guess.
Every day he's in his studio.
I guess he and, well, it can't be. It was not Dalkey. It was,
Yeah, because he's dead.
Condos that was, no, Dalkey's still with us.
Is he?
Yeah, it's Condos.
Yeah, Condos. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a sad loss.
Yeah.
So, a lot of your work, especially like paintings like this and a couple others I've seen, they have this sort of old masters quality.
That's actually kind of interest to me at the moment, yeah.
So that's something you're into right
I
now.
like that kind of dark.
Who's your favorite artist from those periods?
Well, I love John Singer Sargent.
You and Marcia, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you send in your video, your picture of your artist. You both sent in the same exact picture, and it's I don't know that it's his most famous one, but it's
No.
definitely
Madam X, I think.
of quality that
Icon for him.
yeah. But it is that light reflecting off the skirt.
And his
And the
watercolors
folds.
are so light. To be truthful, I didn't even know he did watercolors for years.
I didn't
Till there was
either.
a show down south, and they're so sunny and happy.
Until I saw a picture of that looked like a boat dock with trees, and
Yeah.
that was gorgeous. I didn't know he did
They're
watercolor
amazingly
either.
good.
Now I've seen a couple of your watercolors from back in the day, and it's got that similar kind of quality to them.
I think so. I tend to do a lot of abstract watercolors. I don't know why that is. It's a release for me for that to just
Interesting.
not have a plan, and I really kind of enjoy that. So it puts me in this weird situation with these really figurative type things, and then the watercolors are really out there. But
Right.
I think they break the ice for me a little.
That's interesting because I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks, and I'm just going to take some watercolors, and I'm hoping that I
Take
have.
that little pack I brought you. Those
And I'm
are-
hoping that it gives me that sort of abstract
Yeah.
feeling where I can.
Those are very bright too. If you were to paint with Winsor Newton, that traditional softness, you can't really get a dark line with those, which is beautiful. Those that I gave you are they're a proprietary binder with super high pigment, so I consider them a modern. You could get very bright color with it.
Interesting. One of my favorite local abstract watercolorists is Amy Green.
I don't know if I know.
She's fantastic. I love her work. I have a piece of her work. I'd like another one. But just love the movement and these great lines. They have, organicness to them.
And maybe not controlling it so hard as I do my other things too. So.
Maybe that's it.
I know the first time I saw, I was an art student and fell in love with Singer Sargent, and my mother had an enormous book on the table of his. I used to look. I walked into the gallery. I don't know if it was New York or San Francisco. That part of it's gone. And either that Madame X painting or one very much like it, an 8-foot society portrait from head to toe. I had seen pictures of it, and the pictures are small, so all the details tighten. It's just like during the 60s, the West Coast artists were copying the Dada artists, and they
Yes.
were making everything very tight out here because they saw it from a picture. So I saw this enormous painting, and the end of her nose was just a little slash of beige for the highlight. Totally not like it was.
Yeah.
And the whole painting was much looser than I ever imagined it.
This is why I'm always telling people it's great to see pictures
In person.
in person because they look so different
Yes, they do.
than they do if even if they're photographed well.
Yeah, no.
It's completely
Texture.
different. Absolutely. Now, where what's a medium you wouldn't want to try? That you're like, oh no, I would.
Well, this isn't quite right, but I worked with clay for a while, and
Didn't care for it?
Well, I have a really bad back.
Oh, yeah.
And the working of it, I was actually good at it, which kind of breaks your heart. But the working of it is hard on your back.
Yep.
A lot of it breaks.
Yep.
And then
Can't grow it too attached to anything. It's put it in the kiln and go.
And where do you keep it?
Yeah.
You know? And so I did some, Tony Netsoulis was kind enough to invite me into his studio and kind of give me some personal lessons. And he's just so good. He saw things and that surprised me, because you look at his work as kind of whimsical, but don't let him fool you. He really can see in the classical as well.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful. So I call him my father in clay, but where would I put it? How would I carry it? I mean,
That is a tough thing. The thing with paintings is they do line up pretty well, and you can stick them in a corner and they kind of. But
I have
ceramics
a new
is not like
love
that.
for that. Acrylic painting on Jess and watercolor pages, big one. Not a bad deal.
Also, I ran across, thank you, Pam Coey, to multimedia board.
Oh yes,
Love that.
Idea.
That stuff is great. It's stiff enough and yet light enough.
Right.
Now, I know that you show at City Hall
Yes.
sometimes, and you do the members show here. Is there any place else we can find your art?
Archival Gallery
Archival Gallery,
Downtown.
which is downtown on.
Folsom Boulevard.
Okay.
They do all the framing there as well for the Crockers, so they know what they're doing. And they have a nice little gallery there, D. Neath. And then John Netsoulis Art Center in Davis.
Okay.
I haven't had anything out there in a little while, but I expect to here shortly. So.
Okay, great. What's coming up for you?
Oh, the art show here. April,
Okay.
I can't wait.
So you are going to
Solo
be
show,
a featured artist, our artist spotlight in April.
Do we have a
and,
date for that? When did that
It's the
opens?
first 3 weeks.
Okay, great.
First 3 weeks during our student show. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time. And do you have a website?
Yes, I do.
Is it up to date?
Yes, it is. I'm sitting here thinking it's Victoria. What do they call that?
Underscore?
It's not the bottom line. It's the middle one.
Oh, dash.
Dash Smith dash art.com.
Victoria Smith
hope that's right.
art.com.
Yeah.
Well, we will make sure that it's correct.
It's WordPress.
Now, do you do Instagram or Facebook?
I do Facebook. In the past, I've done a lot of Facebook, and I do a little bit of Instagram. My daughter's all over me. She says that's where she's supposed to be.
That's where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
So.
Well, that could be your New Year's resolution for this year.
Absolutely.
Okay, all artists are on Instagram. All right, well, that's it for another episode with one of our local artists. My name is Cheryl Gleason, and I've been talking with Victoria Smith. You can look her up on Facebook, check out her website, and definitely see her here in Rancho Cordova, either at the MAC or our Art in City Hall project. So until next time, stay creative, and we'll see you later.